Hello everyone, this is Shells with the Arrowheads game community. I want to thank you all for tuning in to another one of my ship company videos. Before we begin, I have a short update. I want to thank all you Star Citizen guys out there for tuning into my videos. I've got 500 on one and 1,000 on another one, and I just want to thank you guys so much. 1,000 views may not seem like much, but to a guy who's only got like 60 subscribers, that's amazing. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and thank you for all of the positive comments back about how well of a job I'm doing, and thank you so much for those of you who didn't like what I was doing. You shared it with me in a very constructive and thought-out and adult conversation instead of just yelling at me. I want to thank you all very much for that. I want you all to know that I do not have a Google Plus account. I do read all your comments, but I cannot respond to them, nor can I go in and fix comments that have been flagged as spam. I'm sorry about that, but due to an unfortunate series of events about a year ago, I cannot, this channel cannot monetize videos, so I didn't even see the point in fiddling with this shitty Google Plus system and this comment system. So I can't comment anymore, which is great because that would only get me in trouble and I would get in arguments. But I do read your guys' comments, and I do read them, and I do take them into account, and I want to thank you all so much. So if I don't respond to you guys, it's not because I'm not reading them or anything like that. I am reading them, and I do read them, and I do want to take in some constructive information, that arguments that people have pointed out with some flaws in other videos. I am doing it, but I probably won't respond to you guys with comments, so never think that I'm ignoring you guys, because I'm not, because you guys are awesome. I want to do a few updates. Number one, the RSI came out with the Centauri System. This is not really notable, but I wanted to bring it up because in my last video I talked about the Musashi Company, and this is the Musashi Company's home system. Their main factory is here. It is a customizable factory. It is modular. It is almost all automated. They take this design and they make smaller factories and put them on other worlds, and it is very customizable. In a span of 24 hours, they can start pumping out a completely different kind of ship. The most of the Starfarers made by Musashi are made here and come from here. So if there's a Starfarer, if there's a lack of Starfarers on the market, you can probably go to Centauri, and this is where they're made, and this is probably where they'll be from. This also means that if there is a brand new MISC ship or a brand new MISC hull type, like they have A through D, and they have the C is the smuggler hull and G is the military hull. If they come out with a brand new hull, hull F or hull E or whatever, it will be probably at this factory first, because the way cargo moving happens in Star Citizen is that the factories make the vessel, just like for insurance. If your vessel has to be replaced for insurance, a factory has to make the vessel, and then the vessel has to be shipped to you. And the smaller the vessel, the faster it can be shipped to you, and the better the company is doing, and the happier its employees are, the faster they'll make it, or the slower they'll make it. So in that same sense, if you guys want the latest stuff from MISC, either it's a brand new ship or a brand new hull, you have going to the Centauri System and going to their factory showroom floor there will be day one, where you can get your day one purchases of a brand new ship. If they come out one day and say MISC has this brand new ship, and you go to your just regular space showroom or whatever, it may not be there for a couple of days because they actually have to ship them to these showrooms. They just won't magically appear. So keep that in mind. Also, there was a correction. The alien race I kept calling the Zeon are actually called the Xi'an, and much in the way that Chris Roberts has based the UEE off of Imperial Rome, the Xi'an are supposedly based on Chinese dynasties. Not communist China, but Chinese dynasties. This makes a lot of sense. The military nature, the calm nature of them never starting their wars, and the fact that they have so many men, and they have an emperor, and their clothing, as you can see, it does, this does lend credence to the fact that this correction will be right. I can't find anything in writing that says that's true, but there's a lot of things that lean towards that being right, and a lot of the things that I say to you guys are stuff that I've heard off of podcasts and stuff, that the guys have done, like the 4-hour live stream or the 24-hour live stream on Twitch about a year ago, and Wingman's Hangar, and a lot of that stuff doesn't get put into writing. So it is entirely possible that this is true, and I just missed it. Although I can't find written confirmation for those of you who everything has to be in writing. Now, moving on to the main course today. Shine your shoes, gentlemen. You are joining the military. Today, we are covering Aegis Dynamics and Anvil Aerospace. Aegis Dynamics, first up on our list here. I'm going to move my mouse around so my computer refreshes, and I can read my notepad notes here. Thank you, computer, for complying with me and making my video successful. Nothing but professionalism here on this channel, gentlemen. Aegis Dynamics is the company that makes a lot of military ships, and it has a very well-earned reputation for sturdy combat vessels that even though they've gone through their lifetime, or they're supposed to have been retired, they still run and they still work. And they're kind of using this because Aegis recently, to kind of shore up funds and make more money, they're taking their old stuff that is kind of being filtered out or replaced by Anvil stuff. Fighters and whatnot, they have their R&D department making more vessels, but to kind of compensate, make money where you can instead of just letting it sit in a junkyard, they're retrofitting their old vessels that are going out, and they are making them for civilian consumption. The current roster of the company includes the aging but sturdy and reliable Avenger, the aging but sturdy and reliable Retaliator Bomber, and the big and shiny, not so much aging but sturdy Idris Corvette. 2 out of 3, gentlemen. You get what you can get. Ladies, too. Can't be sexist here. Ladies like space. Space is cool. Women love space. I could have made a joke about how women love big black things, but that you can't say that on YouTube. That's an entirely different website altogether. The Avenger. The single-seat fighter, a former police cruiser and patrol vessel used by the UEE, and has been largely replaced by the Hornet. It's still used as a training ship in the Navy, but it is far more popular in the private sector due to its 10-ton cargo capacity and its rugged built frame that was originally built for military. It is very popular among small-time mercantile pilots, and it is very popular among bounty hunters due to the fact that customizable cells are easily fit into the back of this thing, plus the fact that the ship comes pre-built with systems that are able to handle a far larger CPU load than standard vessels. Most vessels, you would have to kind of, if you wanted to put a bunch of scanners or electronics on a vessel, you would kind of have to put in other systems to compensate for electrical use and whatnot. But the amount of power that advanced electrical computing systems pull, this thing was built with those capabilities inside. So, scanners that can see through fake IDs on ships or fake IDs on people who are trying to hide, or cargo scanners that can see past holes such as the Misk Sea, which is a smuggler hole, they fit very easily onto this vessel, and the heavy electrical loads don't really mess with the vessel all that much. So this makes it a very popular bounty hunter and patrolling vessel to catch smugglers and whatnot. It is very popular among... it is not very popular among rookie pilots. The Avenger has 3 Class 1 guns, each one on each wingtip and the front gun. The front gun for the longest time was a Class 2, but when I went and did research for this video, it had been changed to a Class 1. Maybe they decided to not make it a swivel anymore. Maybe there's just something wrong with the ship spec page, because that does happen a lot. In fact, there's a whole forum section where, hey, the ship spec page isn't right, CIG. Why don't you guys, fix it? And they have to go through and make sure everything's right in their design team. And everything can change, but at the moment, it's classified as a Class 1 fixed gun, which I have no problem with. And besides the 2 big missiles that you can fit on this thing, the 2 side guns aren't really high-impact weapons. They are distortion cannons, and they are used to disrupt power flow among ship systems. So, if you're hitting things with your sucker punches, their Joker sucker punch is what they're called, it makes power fluctuate, and it makes it so that it's harder for energy to travel quickly between systems, making it so that maybe shields will be compromised a bit easier and whatnot. But that means that besides your 2 missiles, all of your defensive and offensive capabilities come from the one front, wicked-looking gun that I'm kind of assuming is custom to the Avenger, which I think is really cool. The idea that they built a vessel, and instead of just making a mount where you can put any old gun, they're like, no, this thing, I'm going to make a specific gun for this vessel, and they will be fused together forever, and they will complement each other. And I love that idea. Although people won't like it for the fact that they can't put something else there. Maybe customizable parts for that front gun can be bought straight from Aegis. But the idea of a gun built specifically for a ship is something that I really do like. And while it does sacrifice customizability for player styles, this is what's going to make or break the Avenger for a lot of people, in that this ship is rugged, and the ship is built to do its thing, and it's built to use its guns. Variation and customization of its guns don't look to be as wide and as varied as just ships that will slap any old gun on it. But it's really, you have to fit to mold the vessel, whereas other vessels can be made to fit to mold you, and that's why I think I like the Avenger. The Retaliator, an aging jump-capable heavy bomber. It's an extreme-range heavy bomber. These ships would go out on strike missions, 3 or 4 of them. They would go out into enemy territory. The fact that they had so many top guns would mean that they wouldn't really need escorts, and these things are capital killers. They are the size of a Constellation or a Caterpillar, and these things are designed to kill destroyers and cruisers and Idrises. They're designed to hit above their weight, and they're designed to be sturdy. It has a 30-ton cargo capacity, crew of 6, 8 upgrade slots, 12 torpedo slots, and 5 manned turrets. The driver of the vessel at the moment has no controllable guns, although I will get into that in a second. The vessel's only defense comes from 5 manned turrets that appear to be smaller than the Comany's twin guns, but larger than the Freelancer's 1 rear gun. Now, the notable feature of the ship is that the fact that the torpedo bays, which are all the Class 3 missile slots, are inside of the vessel, meaning that if you want to use the 30-ton cargo capacity, you have to empty the torpedoes out, meaning you're trading torpedoes to sink vessels for cargo capacity. There appear to be 3 torpedo bays. I'm guessing that they're 10 tons each, meaning that you can mix and match. Maybe you've got torpedoes in the front one and the 2 back ones are cargo spaces. There is talk going around the forums, and while I haven't found any confirmation of this, I do find it completely believable that these vessels, when you get them, will not become outfitted with torpedoes. They will not even come outfitted with the ability to house torpedoes, because if you are making a vessel that used to be a torpedo ship that would bomb and destroy big capital vessels that the military relies on, and you make it for civilian consumption, you do not give it the ability to sink big vessels that the military relies on. You take that away. So you will either have to earn citizenship and go through special merchants, or you will have to steal on the black market or pay big money on the black market for the components to put torpedoes back in these things. Now, I originally was going to melt my Retaliator, and keep my Constellation, but after seeing some of the artwork and some of the other artwork that became available to me after I became a subscriber, and I'm going to show you one piece of artwork. I'm not going to show you a bunch, because the whole point of being a subscriber is you get access to all these special things. So I'm going to show you one picture, and it brings up something that is just in concept, and it may not even come out. But as you can see, there's the apartment complex, which is this little idea floating around that you convert cargo space in a vessel to being a small livable apartment instead of just having bunk beds, and a laser cannon that comes out of the cargo hold. Neither of these ideas may make it into the game at all. Some of them may be implemented well after Star Citizen launch, but the idea of turning one of my cargo bays of my Retaliator into a drop cannon that controls like a laser gun or a rail gun is really cool. Again, both of these ideas may not come to fruition, and again, these were only available to me because I am a subscriber now. And I will use some of these pictures, but I will not use a lot of them. If I want to use a subscriber picture, I will pick one out of the 20 or so that they give me that you guys haven't seen, and I will only use that one. It won't even be the best one. There are really cool pictures I would love to show you, but I'm not going to, because I want you guys, if you really love Star Citizen, I want you guys to subscribe and get to see these vault for yourself. I don't want to make it so that, like, I don't have to subscribe. I could just go to Joe's YouTube channel. I'm not going to do that. I'll show you one picture every now and then, but out of like the 30 or 40 pictures you get, or 20 pictures that you get for each ship, I may show you one, but most of the times I won't show you any, because I feel like, because I put my money forward, it's something I've earned. I'm not going to just use it. I'm just not going to throw it out there for you guys to have. Sorry, I love you guys, but I'm not going to just flirt that responsibility. But, like, I was planning to melt my Constellation because I didn't think that the Retaliator had a lot of use to it, but looking at some of the concept art and stuff, I think I will not give up my Retaliator. Most likely I will melt my Constellation if I want some money back to use for something. The big granddaddy of them all, the biggest and most expensive vessel that is available to the Star Citizen community, the Idris Corvette, is made by Aegis Dynamics themselves. It is the smallest of the capital class vessels. It doesn't have the punch of a destroyer, but it trades it for speed and versatility. The Corvette has two variants. There's a military version, the Idris P, and then there is the civilian version, which is scaled down a bit and sold to private companies and firms for private security on frontier worlds and whatnot. The military version has a 120-ton cargo capacity. The civilian version only has 100 tons. Both have a crew of 10, 20 upgrade slots, the same as the Constellation. Both have the same number of engines and maneuvering thrusters. The civilian version has 6 manned turrets designed as fighter turrets, the Class 5 turret, which is found on the Retaliator and the Constellation. The military version has 1 more, make it 7. Both have a Class 6 turret, which is a ship-to-ship cannon. It is a manned turret meant specifically to fire at other capital vessels. The military version has the same thing, but it also has a Class 6 cannon and has a Class 6 manned missile launcher for big strike missiles against, again, capital class vessels. The military version has a Class 7 gun. The civilian version has the Class 7 slot for a Class 7 gun, but it does not have the Class 7 gun. The Class 7 gun is the big main cannon that is mounted to the spine of the vessel. It is similar to that big cannon you see on the ships in Mass Effect or the destroyers in Halo, where it's that big gun that's mounted that only faces forward, and that's the main ship cannon. That is the big main cannon. The slot is available on the civilian one, but getting your hands on a Class 7 gun or above for hardpoints will probably be nigh impossible, seeing as how these are military cannons designed to destroy a military vessel. These things will not be available on the civilian market, so you'll either have to steal one in transit, which will be very, very hard considering you'll have to steal it from a military convoy, or find one that will probably be ludicrous levels of expensive on the black market. Now, the Aegis Surveyor. The Surveyor was unlocked at $32 million. The Surveyor is an industrial quality salvage ship equipped with reinforced cargo bays, long-range jump drive, and launch pods for unmanned drones. I know nothing about drone combat, or especially unmanned drone combat, like there's any other kind of drone. I know nothing about that. That'll be interesting to see how that works. The Surveyor is an ideal ship for taking advantage of deep space wrecks. Tractor beams, floodlights, and scanner options and docking ports round out the toolset of this capable utilitarian spacecraft. I can see this spacecraft working alongside a Caterpillar and a Cutlass in salvaging operations. I really can. I think this is going to be a neat little vessel, and if it turns out at the end of the day that I've got a couple more bucks to spend, I'll probably pick it up. The only last thing at the moment is that I told you that the MISC company makes Starfarers with the Class G hull, military armored Starfarers for frontline refueling and whatnot. The Starfarer is bought from MISC, then shipped to the Aegis factories where they apply the custom hull. So the Class G hull is actually not made by MISC, it is made by Aegis. Now we have Anvil Aerospace, a company that has said that because I want to buy a ship that flies through space, we should totally have a logo that spits fire. It seemed like a little much to me. The logo was cool, but just that fact that when I think of spacecraft, I do not want to think of motherfucking fire. I do not want to think of fire. Fire's bad enough if you're on a boat at sea. It's even worse in space. Founded in 2772, Anvil has been reliably delivering military-grade equipment to the UAE Navy for almost 2 centuries. That's 200 years for those of you who don't know. The company has produced dozens of successful and iconic military spacecraft over the years, including the Hurricane, Osprey, Devastator, Hornet, and Gladiator. I have no idea what the Hurricane, Osprey, or Devastator are. Maybe those are callbacks to other Wing Commander games that I have not played. I've played the first one. No military campaign in the last 2 centuries, 200 years, has launched without an Anvil spacecraft at the forefront, and no carrier in UAE space today operates without at least 1 squadron of Anvil-designed fighters. On the civilian side, the Hornet is holding steady as the 3rd best-selling single-seat spacecraft design available, trumped only by the Aurora and the 300i. The Hornet is their most iconic vessel. The Hornet is the go-to fighter for the UAE military. It replaced the Avenger. The Hornet has been retrofitted for civilian use and been labeled the F7C, C for civilian. It's a 4-ton cargo capacity, crew of 1, 6 upgrade slots, 2 Class 1 nose guns. They appear to be very small, so I'm wondering, just like the Joker sucker punches on the side of the Avenger, which look to be very small, maybe they have some kind of status effect instead of doing straight up damage, but there's no confirmation on that. There are 2 Class 2 guns on a swivel, 1 on each wing, 2 missile playments. The preset loadout with the missile size that they come with has 8 missiles total, 4 on each wing. Maybe you can buy bigger missiles, but you will hold less of them, etc., etc. Any accessories such as the radar dish or the stealth package will replace the cargo hold. This ship is a fighter. It is built to fight. It is built to be sturdy. It was built to be in combat. And in my personal opinion, they wanted to kind of get into the civilian market. They knew this thing had a reputation. They knew young dudes would love to be flying around in this thing. So they took out a lot of the high value stuff that only the military can have, put a trunk in it, and kind of labeled it. But the problem with this vessel is that if you want to customize it for stealth or for radar detection or any other thing that you can customize this thing for, no matter what, it looks like you're going to have to sacrifice your 4-ton cargo capacity to do so. Which means that this means that it's a very reliable and sturdy fighter to fly in if you are like just going from system to system and you're just picking up small trinkets or luxury goods. This is totally a good fighter for you. If you want to do mercantile, I would stick away from the F7C. I would use the F7C in either for short range, light cargo missions, and I would not explore with it. I would use the F7C as I'm going from point A to point B, and it's very dangerous, so instead of taking my Aurora, I'm going to take my F7C. If you want to do something customizable with it, you're going to have to get rid of your cargo space. This vessel is really, really good in convoys or running escort or being in a big group with your friends as you go out exploring unknown space. This thing is awesome. As a single fighter vessel that you just take on your own everywhere, it may be a little less accommodating than the Avenger or maybe just one of the Auroras. It may be a little less accommodating because this just screams to me Anvil saying, this fighter's really popular, people will buy this, let's just put a trunk in it and sell it. Also, I'm concerned with just how much gas it can hold, like by default not using upgrade slots to put more tanks on it. Because this vessel was designed to fight for the military. It was designed to take off and land either on space bases or land on mobile gas stations called carriers. So how far this thing can go without having to add more fuel tanks on it is really kind of concerning to me. I don't know how far this thing can fly, but it strikes me as a point A to point B, I know where I'm going trip fighter craft, and not a I'm just going to go out and explore things fighter craft. Or if I'm going to do so, I'm going to stick inside of a system. The Gladiator, which is a torpedo vessel and an air-to-ground bomber in atmosphere, it is a very modular design, customizable. It is rugged and sturdy beyond anything that you could believe. It has a 10-ton cargo capacity, same as the Avenger, 2-man crew, 8 upgrade slots, 2 Class 1 guns that only face forward, 6 torpedo mounts. Again, this is the same as the Retaliator, where the torpedoes will take up the 10-ton cargo capacity. So if you want to use that 10 tons for regular cargo, you got to get rid of them. 1 Class 4 rear turret. Note about a Class 4 rear turret is that Class 5 turrets, which are what the again, mouse screen. Go back. Come on. I need my notes. I can do this one from memory, but I just needed to get back up. The Class 5 turret is what the Constellation has. It's what the Retaliator has. A Class 4 turret is the same thing, except instead of a dedicated gun, it is a Class 1 or 2 gun that is just put on a swivel mount and can be controlled by a different person. So if you want to put, like any gun you can put on the front of a fighter craft, they just take that, put it on a special mount that a guy can control, and you just fire with that, which means the back gun of this thing's highly customizable, but it means it's not dedicated to being a rear gun. And again, this vessel is extremely defendable. For those of you who are concerned with the Avenger loadout and the way you have to use the weapons, this thing seems to be more accessible to dogfighters who want that cargo space. However, again, it's a carrier-based bomber. So again, how far can this thing go without me having to slap a bunch of fuel tanks on it is what I'm most concerned with. Just how far can this thing go? Other than that, if you've got a Starfarer that can refuel things, I can see this as totally a viable option to maybe you've got a Hornet or two already and you want to bring some with a few more cargo space. Maybe we're going on a long-range mining mission, or we're going to go pick up some goodies from a system and salvage from some Vandal, and we want to store as much stuff as possible. This is totally available. It's like, we got a bunch of Hornets and stuff already. We want more cargo capacity. I would totally bring a Gladiator instead of just another dogfighting vessel. But other than that, again, the big thing is that I don't know how big of a gas tank it's got, and that's my only big concern. The other vessel that they have, which we unlocked at $33 million, I think. I don't have it down because I'm an idiot. The Anvil Aerospace. I say that because Karak sounds way better than just Karak. It's the Karak. Has been the vanguard of every UE exploration fleet in recent years, featuring reinforced fuel tanks for long-duration flight, a highly advanced jump drive array, a dedicated computer core that allows you to put maximum processing power into jump charting operations. Originally a military exclusive, the Crack is now available for civilian use as a Pathfinder spacecraft. Features onboard accommodations to allow for truly self-sufficient flight, including crew, medical, and repair facilities, mapping-oriented sensor suite capable of always charting a route home. I love this vessel. Now, a lot of people will compare it to the Freelancer because the Freelancer is similar. It is a exploration vessel. Here's the differences. The Anvil Aerospace is a Pathfinder and the Freelancer is an exploration vessel. The way I see it is that if you want to just explore cool things and pick up trinkets along the way or fight it out or whatever, you'll go with the Freelancer. The Anvil Aerospace is, I'm just going to go find places and make star maps. I'm going to be a cartographer. I'm going to go further, longer, stay out. I'm going to make maps. I'm going to explore and look for resource outposts. I'm going to look for places to set up colonies. I'm going to look for gas giants where starfarers can refuel. And I'm going to sell this to player-based companies, or I'm going to do this for my player-based company, so that when we want to come out and say we're a mining company, I'm going to run this guy, and I'll be like, there's asteroids here, here's a place where starfarers can refuel, and they will come in behind you and set up operations, and that is it. And I also like the idea of this vessel because if you're doing a long-range exploration convoy, you will be the guy who always goes first. You will be the guy who goes first, sets up the detailed map, sends it back to the other guys, and then they follow you, and while they're setting up and exploring and whatnot, you're like, okay guys, I'm going ahead. I am going first. I will be the first one into the breach, and I have got the vessel that has the survival capabilities to last in the breach. I will be the one who will go first and take on whatever unknown is out there, and that's why I love this vessel. This vessel isn't, I'm going out there to make money and explore. This is, I'm going out there to just explore and find shit, and I will be first, and I will not die, and I will stay out for hours and longer than any other spacecraft can, and I will be the vanguard, and people will follow my wake as I explore the endless depths of the galaxy. I love this vessel. Depending on when its stats come out, they can change, I know, but I want to see how big of a cargo space it has, because it's my one big thing. Maybe they sacrifice cargo space for the medical facilities and whatnot, but I am very interested in this vessel. I may even trade my Freelancer in for it if they're a similar price range. I do see this vessel as being similar size of the Freelancer. However, I don't know if it'll maybe be a little bit bigger and kind of an in-between size from the Constellations and the Freelancer, or maybe it'll be the size of the Freelancer. Either way, the idea behind this vessel and what it does, I love, and I'll be sad to see the Freelancer go. But this thing is exactly what I want. I don't plan to be a very mercantile-based pilot. I plan to be a pilot who goes out, explores things, finds cool stuff, and I want to find enough stuff along the way, either salvage from wrecks or pick up from mineral deposits or trade my map-seeking and pathfinding skills out for money just to continue exploring. I don't want to make a bunch of money off of it. I just want to explore things. I just want to see. I have wanderlust, and I want to see. I want to use my wanderlust, and I want to explore places where other vessels, such as the smaller 315P, will have problems getting. And this vessel seems to be answers to a lot of those problems, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. I just want to see some concept art come out of it. But that's all for today. The next two and the last two companies up are, of course, Origin and Robert Space Industries, and that video will be out as soon as I can get it to you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I've been Shillas with the Star Citizen community and the Aero Heights gaming community. Thank you so much. Fly safe, everyone.